In my last video, I talked about budgeting and how to do it, but I didn't show you how to do it. Today, I'm going to show you a simple way to budget your expenses with a template here that I've created. When I work with my clients, we can go more in depth, and I utilize these categories for budgeting. But for simplistic reasons, or to make this a little more digestible, I don't want to overwhelm you with so much stuff. You're like, where do I start? Let's keep it simple. The KISS method is a good one to start. So this is what I use when I want to just explain how do you start budgeting. And I like to use just a few categories, about 10 to 12 categories. You can obviously add to it as the other budget template shows. But this here shows how I set up a budget initially. You can put your name on here, the period that you're covering. You could do an annual budget, monthly budget, weekly budget, daily budget, however you want to do. You can get crazy. But mostly a monthly budget is a good one to start with. And what I recommend to my clients is that you look at your check statements, your checking account, and your credit card statements, and put all of the expenses that you've had in one of these categories. And a lot of people default to this other for a lot of things, but pretty much everything that you buy or purchase or pay for would fall into one of these items here. Charity and donations, savings for emergencies, but also for retirement, food, gotta eat, housing, how do you shelter yourself, utilities, transportation, insurance, household items, the things that keep your house running, coverage of debt, personal items, but also, some fun. Got to have some fun in there. And then the miscellaneous that falls into others. So I look at what has been spent historically. So if I'm doing a monthly budget, I'll look at what did I spend last month? And let's say for charity, I spent $100. Savings, let's say I didn't put anything in there. Food, let's say $300. And food can be eating out, going out to a restaurant, could be just groceries. Any food could be going to a convenience store and picking up a candy bar and a drink. So that could fall into food. Housing, let's keep it simple for this. We'll just say $1,000. Utilities, let's say $250. Transportation, and transportation can be a lot of things. It can be the gas, it could be oil change, tires, it could be taxi, Lyft, Ubers, those type of transportation costs. Insurance could be your life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, anything that you paid that you don't want to take on the risk, that would be insurance. So transportation, I'm going to say, again, these numbers are just made up for right now. Insurance, household items, debt, and debt, whether you're paying off credit cards, personal loans, school loans, mortgages. Some people would put mortgages up under housing, others down in debt. We'll just say debt's right here. Personal and entertainment, and other, there's always another. So for a grand total of $6,150. And let's say your income source from the first is about $2,000, and income source number 2 is $4,000. So there's a difference there of a negative $150. So we are spending more than we are bringing in. So the next part of the budgeting is say, okay, what do I want to spend this next month? What is it that I'm going to put some parameters around my spending so that I can get out from this difference here. I mean, I'm spending more than I'm making. let's get that under control. So let's say this is going to stay the same. But let's look at our actual spending. $100 to charity. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to continue to do that. Savings and retirement, I would like to put away for my emergency fund, so I'm going to put $100 there. Food, that's about what I always spend. Housing, those are pretty much fixed costs. Utilities, those pretty much the same every month. Transportation, now I could probably cut back on that. I do a lot of driving around for recreation and stuff, but this month I'm going to cut back on that. So I'm going to say, let's go 400. And then insurance, that's kind of a fixed cost. Household items, I'm going to cut back on that. And let's say I spend only 200. I'm going to plan to spend that. Debt, I'm chipping away at that, so I'm going to keep that even. Personal and entertainment, well, to make sure that I get out of this deficit, I'm definitely going to cut back on the entertainment for this month. So let's just say 300. And then other, there's always another, I don't know what it's going to be. So that total comes to $5,750. And so the difference between those are 250 of wiggle room. So we should be at the end of this month, if everything goes as planned, we'll spend 5,750. Income will come in about 6,000, so we'll have $250 of surplus. So after I've created the budget, now every day for the next month, I would take my receipts from expenses and put them into one of these different categories. And as at the end of the month, I would then have the totals for each of these categories to then fill in. So let's say I did spend the actual $100. Savings retirement, I put $100 into the savings. Food, I spent a little more than I budgeted. Maybe I ate out something. Housing, that stayed the same. Utilities, that stayed the same. Transportation, I actually rode the bus and didn't use my car as much, or I carpooled, and so that went down. My insurance, that was a fixed expense. Household items, I wanted to drop it down to 200, but I actually spent 250. Debt, was able to keep chipping away at that. Personal and entertainment, on that one, I was close, but not exactly. And then other, I only spent 50. So the current actual, what did I actually spend this month, was a total of 5,800. And so income came in what I thought. And the difference then between my expenses and my income is $200. So I actually did have some extra. The budget was able to keep me underneath what my income is. So I'm living within my means. Let's see here. We go down here, the difference, everything was good. This I actually spent more than I wanted to. This is the same. I'm actually better off here. The same. I spent more than I planned. And spent less than I planned. So I actually spent $50 more than I had budgeted, but I'm still better off than what my income is. So there's a way to kind of check, how you're doing between your current budget and what you actually spent. And then you can take this current actual and start another worksheet and have this be your new historical, and then you create a new budget for the next month or the next year, or however you do that. But this way you can understand where are all your expenses going to, get to know, where is it that I'm spending a lot? Do I have wiggle room? Can I adjust, certain items to start saving? Like, okay, I overspent here, but really I had some extra. This could go to chipping away at debt maybe next month. Maybe next month I put down my budget would be $2,200 and shoot for that. And again, each month is different. You may spend more during the holidays, the end of the year, Thanksgiving and December for those holidays, Christmas, than in the summertime. Or maybe you take a summer trip. So this budget is flexible. You can change it. You can move it around, but this is a way to get a handle on what is going out compared to what's coming in, and then make those adjustments so that you can chip away at your debt and get out from debt, or create that emergency fund that I talked about in the previous video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or if you have any suggestions of what you'd like me to cover, do the same, put it down below, and we'll get back to it. Stay awesome. Talk to you next time.